Hello everyone and welcome to Who Created It and How. Today we're embarking on a journey back in time to explore one of humanity's most awe-inspiring achievements, the magnificent temples that dot our planet. From the towering pyramids of Giza to the intricate carvings of Angkor Wat, these structures whisper tales of devotion, ingenuity, and immense human effort. But have you ever stopped to truly ask, who built these temples? And more importantly, how did they do it? The easy answer is, of course, people. But that's like saying water makes the ocean. The reality is far more complex and fascinating. It wasn't just a handful of architects and a king's decree. It was entire societies, mobilized for a singular, sacred purpose. Building a temple was a project that could span generations, involving tens of thousands of individuals, each with a specific role. Let's start with the quarry. Long before the first stone was laid at the temple site, specialized teams of quarrymen were at work, sometimes hundreds of miles away. Their job was to extract colossal blocks of stone from the earth. How did they do it without modern machinery? They used a combination of cleverness and brute force. Workers would chisel grooves into the rock face. Then, they'd drive wooden wedges into these grooves and soak them with water. As the wood expanded, it exerted incredible pressure, splitting the massive stone along the desired lines. Other techniques involved using fire and water to crack the rock, or simply the relentless pounding of hard dolerite balls. It was backbreaking, dangerous work, and it was the very first step in a long and arduous process. Once these multi-ton blocks were freed from the mountain, the next monumental challenge was transportation. How do you move a stone the weight of several elephants across miles of uneven terrain? The answer lies in simple physics and immense manpower. For land transport, a common method was to place the blocks on wooden sledges. These sledges were then pulled by vast teams of laborers over specially prepared roads. To reduce friction, they would pour water or oil on the path ahead or roll them over a continuous bed of logs. Imagine the scene. Hundreds, maybe thousands of people, chanting in unison, pulling ropes, their muscles straining to inch a giant stone forward. It was a perfectly choreographed dance of human strength and coordination. For sites near rivers like many in ancient Egypt, the mighty Nile served as a superhighway. The blocks were loaded onto enormous barges and floated downstream, a logistical feat in itself. When the stones finally arrived at the construction site, the real architectural magic began. The site itself was a bustling city of activity. You had the master architects and priests who designed the temple according to strict cosmological and religious principles. Every measurement, every alignment had a sacred meaning. Then you had the stonemasons, the true artists of the operation. These were highly skilled craftsmen who spent their entire lives perfecting their trade. They would meticulously shape and smooth each block using simple tools like chisels, mallets, and polishing stones. The precision they achieved is mind-boggling. In some temples, like those in ancient Peru, the stones fit together so perfectly that you can't even slide a piece of paper between them, all without a drop of mortar. So how did they lift these colossal stones into place, sometimes hundreds of feet in the air? Again, ingenuity trumped the lack of technology. The most common method was the use of earthen and mud brick ramps. As the walls of the temple grew higher, the ramp was built up alongside it, creating a gentle slope. The stone blocks were then dragged up the ramp and maneuvered into their final position. It was a slow, incremental process. Once the structure was complete, the massive ramp had to be dismantled, revealing the magnificent temple beneath. It's like the scaffolding was almost as big a project as the building itself. They also used levers, rockers, and possibly simple pulley systems to pivot and position the stones with incredible accuracy. Beyond the stone, an army of other artisans was at work. Carpenters built the scaffolding, sledges, and roof structures. Metalworkers forged the tools needed by the masons. And, of course, there were the artists, the sculptors and painters who brought the temple to life. They covered the walls with intricate carvings of gods, goddesses, kings, and mythological scenes. They painted vibrant murals that told the stories of their culture. Every surface became a canvas for their devotion and skill. But who were these countless workers? Were they all slaves, toiling under the crack of a whip? While forced labor was certainly used in some ancient societies, recent archaeological evidence paints a more nuanced picture. In Egypt, for example, excavations near the pyramids have uncovered the villages of the workers. They were not slaves, but skilled, paid laborers who were well fed and received medical care. They worked in rotating shifts and took great pride in their work, even leaving behind graffiti that reads, "The Drunkards of Menkaure," or "The Friends of Khufu Gang." Building the temple was a form of national service, a way to serve their king and their gods, and it conferred a certain status and honor. These projects were the space programs of their day. They pushed the limits of engineering, mathematics, logistics, and social organization. They required a stable food supply to feed the thousands of workers, a strong central government to organize the effort, and a shared belief system that could inspire generations of people to dedicate their lives to a single goal. The temple was the center of their universe. It was a bank, a school, an observatory, and the dwelling place of the gods on earth. So when we gaze upon these ancient wonders, let's remember that they weren't built by aliens or lost super technologies. They were built by people with families, with skills, with pride, and with a profound sense of purpose. They were built by the sweat of the quarryman, the precision of the mason, the vision of the architect, and the faith of an entire civilization. These temples are not just piles of stone. They are monuments to human potential, collaboration, and our enduring quest to connect with something greater than ourselves. Thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey today. If you found this as fascinating as we did, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe to Who Created It and How for more deep dives into the greatest creations of our world. Let us know in the comments which ancient structure you'd like us to explore next. See you in the next one.